This is Dan Max at eXp Realty, aka the Trading Agent, and this is a live market chat for Monday, November 28th, 2022. Hopefully you had an amazing holiday week. Got my voice back for the most part. Feeling fine. It's just congestion, annoying, dealing with it, whatever. Want to talk about oil and the market in general. A lot of people, the dumbest money I see, the dumbest people out on stock twits, twit, really want to see oil drop. The articles are relentless. People are getting rather, what I would say, stupid and not seeing the bigger game. Naturally, they never do. They follow the news. They see the headlines. They jump off the cliff. They follow the noise. They put the proverbial news around their neck and follow it. Let it run. Dangerous. So anyway, mic check. And give a second for some people to come in. Ask any questions you want. We're just going through anything. Trying to stay mentally clear. Sinuses clear. Whatever. Throat clear. A lot of interesting setups today. Not all that easy. But I want to jump into it. And the real big talk is oil. Oil. It's amazing. So, again, if everyone's good, cool, you're listening. I'll start out with this. Here are the things that we know. Right now, Russia-Ukraine stuff is ongoing. Ukraine is talking about joining NATO. Russia hates that. They're talking about putting cap on Russian oil. Russia is going to do something at some point. They're probably not going to be okay with this. So, put that in the back of your mind, because at some point, I don't think they're really too concerned about them trying to cap oil, because there's going to be places, and I wouldn't necessarily say countries that are going to do what? They're going to try to bypass the caps from the EU or America, because they'll just, again, they don't have any beef. They have no beef, so they're not interested. People keep saying, well, what about China shut down? It's becoming very apparent to me that China is going to blame the riots for the reason to reopen. There are people, their countrymen, whatever you want, are watching the World Cup. And I started thinking this as I was watching some of the games, England tie versus U.S. There's no way that they're not watching this game and seeing that nobody's wearing a mask anywhere. And so if you lived in China, would you not be like, what the heck? Zero China policy for COVID? We all know. This is a disease that's not going away. It's going to only, it only mutates to not kill its host. So that's off the table here shortly. And also, too, if Roth, my man, is listening, he posted a really good recap of the travel stocks and hospitality stocks in China today. Even though the Hang Seng or whatever was down a bunch, those stocks were up 3 to 5%. If China is about to go into a deeper restrictive policy, then why the hell are their Chinese hospitality stocks ripping higher today? Right? Okay, so now you take that off the board. Well, China has a bunch of inventory to sell. Knowing China, I'm doubting that they're flipping the oil market. If anything, they're probably going to build their own ways of strategically storing more and more oil. Doesn't make sense for them to buy it at a discount and sell it unless they have unlimited access to extra inventory, which I don't think they do. Throw in then old Sleepy Joe talking about refilling the oil reserves at $70 a barrel. Again, these are all guesstimates of the numbers, but we have drained the SPR by 190 million barrels. Over the weekend, you saw the headline that Iraq was going to raise output by 200,000 barrels a day. Well, you do the math. 200,000 barrels divided by 190 million. Say that was just going to cover the difference. It's not going to happen anytime soon. So take that off the table. And now, just finally as thought, OPEC is going to probably cut supply even more. They don't want the U.S., again, as much as you, want to talk politics, I don't care. I'm trying to think about what's likely going to happen here. The BRICS. Saudis are the BRICS. They're going to try to help out their friends. They're not trying to help out the U.S. So I don't see them doing some sort of deal to somehow increase production. However, I have seen Venezuela and Chevron, agree to a deal where they can pump more. But man, that's great how we're helping our enemies again. Yeah, great observation by Roth. So at this point, like, put it all together. At the lows, gaps down. I put it, and again, if you're not following me on Twitter, I said this morning, I'm like, watch the action at the lows. I bet we open at the lows and close at the highs. Dan, what are you talking about? You're just making that up. Okay, well, let's go to Twitter and can show you. Because a lot of people are like, oh, you're revisionist. I'm like, I'm trying to be as transparent as possible, always. Because trading's hard. Trading is incredibly hard. And there's no reason, again, people are like, if you want to like be a pretend trader, great. I'm not. USO, daily novice gap down gift. It's at 65.32. Remember, it got down to lows like 65, I think, on the USO. Where are we now? We're at 67.31. You're welcome. Hashtag, you're welcome. Not really much else to say on the oil front. And, well, actually, yes, there is. Let's continue on. OPEC meeting, December 4th and the 5th. Keep that in mind. End of the week. What else is going on in the world? Well, personally, there's a lot of stuff out there that doesn't push oil prices down. The market in itself, and I've said this over and over and over, every time you see 5 billion here, 3 billion here going to Ukraine, that is helping the GDP. Well, guess what the GDP expectations for the third quarter are coming out on Wednesday? They're expecting 2.7%. And again, you'll dig deep and you'll go, oh, wow, it's a lot of government spending and military spending and plane building and yada, yada, yada. So all those people screaming the end of the world, it's not happening right now, near term. Things have to get worse. And when I say worse, interest rates, those are the key. I keep saying this, and I could be wrong on this. This is just a theory based on previous theories that I've always had that, again, I'm usually right 4 out of 5, 9 out of 10 times. Okay? I could be wrong here. Don't hold it and be like, oh, you're an idiot. It's like, well, study the past predictions that we made. And so now what? Natural gas holding up. Oil, high of the day as we speak. Hello, 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 hello. Looking at some of the oil service names. Now, people realize this. The oil and gas sector of the S&P 500 is what? 55% of the float supposedly is short. Now, again, I had, pulling these numbers, I used to have Bloomberg Terminal to try to, like, really get deep into this. Now, everyone just posts everything on Twitter. You follow certain people, you know that they're getting legitimate information. We'll say it's not 55%. Say it's 25%. Still, it's a huge percentage of the open interest within the oil and gas sector is short right now. Go look at Twitter and some of the stock gurus that I'm just amazed. People have 30, 40, 50, 100,000 followers and literally are fucking idiots. Excuse my language. But that's the reality. I don't know if they're actually trading what they say, because if they were, they would be looking more evidence-based. And I'm amazed. Like, everyone is scared to fight the trend. Everyone is scared to be wrong, when the reality is the market is meant to take the most amount of money from the most amount of people. So being on the other side of that is usually where you need to be leaning. Does that make sense? I always say this all the time. Like, people are like, oh, you get trashed all the time. I'm like, I don't care. The more I get trashed, the more people talk crap. It's usually at the inflection points. I mean, I'm sorry if Grover, if you're listening in the Discord room, I kicked him out today. I didn't ban him. I just kicked him. Like, he's like, oh, oil going to 62 or 60. I'm done. And it's like, okay, well, maybe you're over leveraged. I don't know your story, but show me some evidence. Nothing, no evidence shown. And it's like, all right, well, why are we talking about this? It's just a gap down trap. It's the news. It's the noose. Talk about it all the time. The noose. Don't put it around your neck, please. Doesn't fit that well. Well, maybe, I don't know. Maybe you like to wear it. I don't know. Let's look at oil again. And I posted these. Let me just go back to Twitter. I posted this morning. See what else we got here. Nope. Because I wanted people to see the longer term charts on oil. So we talked about, here you go, 70s, mid 70s, the support zone. And you're like, oh, that's interesting. But I always tell people what? Don't ever forget to zoom out. I always say this. Always, always, always. Yes, Joe T, need that energy spending. Why is the mid 70s? I said this is the high. Monthly is why. This is important. Like, go back all the way to 2005. Support in 2011. Resistance in 2007, 18 and 19. Resistance in 2021 before it went. Now do you not think it's going to act as support? $100 oil seems very likely. Oh, but wouldn't that mean that the economy's heating up? No. Geopolitical stuff. It's undersupplies. You cannot cut or raise interest rates to create more supply. Now, you can affect demand. Like, that's not an argument. But at this point, demand is what it is. If GDP is 2.7%, 2.6%, economy's not falling off a cliff here. All it takes is a spark to light the wick for what? Higher oil prices. When I say spark, meaning Russia, Ukraine, BRICS saying, you know what? Nope, sorry, U.S. That 100, you guys shouldn't have been wasting money on, that election to try to buy down oil prices. We're not going to give you any reprieve. If I was them, I wouldn't either. 190 million barrels. Man, I bet they love, do the difference. For every dollar, it's an extra $190 million difference. Right? I think they would like to see it at least 10, 20 points higher if you want to start selling to some of the Americans. Sheiks could always buy Ronaldo. Hey, he might go to a Saudi Arabia team. $270 million for a one-year contract. No, I don't know. Anyone else read about that? Saudis trying to buy him now that he's out of Man U. Pretty sure they could float $1 of oil higher to cover that. I think they'll cover that. Man, it's crazy to think that just $1 cover his salary. But that's a lot. They pay him a ton of money. All right. Throwing in a little commercial. Going to have a sip of coffee. All right. Now that we see why we think oil is going higher. Yeah, all I want for Christmas is $100 WTI. I agree, Russ. That's all I'm asking. Just 100. Get me back up into the 80s on the USO. Very clear. Clear. It wouldn't be that hard. It wouldn't be that hard. Support equals resistance. If you go above it, if you go below it, you're going to go probably above it. Here you go. Here's your 97 to 100. Any other questions, thoughts, concerns? I could shut it down right now, or I can just hang out and keep talking. Because there's a lot of interesting trades out there, potentially. Get into the SPY. But any questions about oil? Hopefully it's clear as day. Like, again, the dumbest folks. It's funny how once you start, talking about oil, literally everyone in, Twitter just starts feeding you. It's like, yeah. And feeds you all the oil comments. And it's like, bullish, bearish. Let me see if one of these idiots is around. No, it's not doing it. Thanks. It's like the algorithm's always listening, but it's not right now. Apologize. I'd settle for 86 right now. No, exactly. I wouldn't be surprised if this stuff popped $5 to $10 in front of the meeting this weekend. Not surprised. Oh, Dallas Philly Fed. What was it? Yeah, Dallas Fed. Yeah, well, there you go. I'm trying to look at briefings, see if there's anything. There's not much data today. All the data starts on tomorrow. Big data day on Thursday. And then you got jobs on Friday. The end of the world. I wouldn't bet on it just yet. I don't think I would bet on it just yet. So, you're welcome. You're welcome. That's why I post and try to give the best insights. What did we say? This is a big boy action. This isn't baby tea money. No, we're talking about black oil money. Texas tea money. No, I'm just kidding. Somebody was supporting oil prices. Do the math. Was that how many shares is that? 9 million, 10 million, 11 million, 13 million shares. It drops cumulatively on sixth gaps down this morning. Let's do some 10-minute strolls. You guys want? Or actually, let's do some 60-minute. Where am I? 60. All right, let's bring you down. Bring you into the plate. Zing, pow. Watch what happens when it gets back up into this area again. We're getting close. This will be the key if it gets over 67. Gaps down. Obviously, overnight, the volume doesn't matter. Here's the opening bar. Does this look like buying to you? I think there's more demand than supply for oil. It's just so stupid, silly sometimes. Whatever. Let's get into some names. Let's just roll through the market. TLT. What have we said? You know, we thought it would hold here for a little bit. Got it. Went higher. Oil prices went down. Not surprised. TLT probably not going to rip a ton higher if oil goes up. Now, at this point, with the interest rates, do I expect a smash? I feel like oil seasonality actually isn't that great in December. But I've said this 1,000 times that comparing now to any time normally, it's just hard. You can't do that. You got Feds raising interest rates. You got a cold war of oil and gas going on in Europe. You've got global instability everywhere. You have the dumbest people in control of the biggest governments in the world. I mean, I hate to call them dumb because they're actually puppet masters. We know that. Somebody's pulling the strings here. It's like you have a idiocracy running, you know, on the front side of the governments. So TLT, could it get up to the 106? Talked about watching this fib area. Gapped up this morning. No volume. Remember holiday week? I mean, you could basically just strip out this whole week potentially. It was nothing. We'll see. Is this a gap and go or a novice gap? 1, 2, 3. 3 gap trap. Just be aware. The dollar. Yeah, just floating here. I still think it's going to get down. Now, I know it's the Dixie's holding some moving averages. I still think we're coming back into the 28s. The VIX. Oh, it's up $1. Not surprised. Talked about what? Filling the gap. Nobody talked about that. Whatever. I don't want to brag about it. It doesn't matter. You're only as good as your last trade. Now what, Dan? My guess is you probably chop around. Chop bottom. Chop bottom. Chop bottom. Chop bottom. Chop bottom. That's my guess. Because, I mean, if you had the tax loss selling peak in October, keep in mind, these guys coming back in November, December might be buying. I know that's crazy. There's obviously losers going to get lost. Like certain tech names, I think they just play dead. But could the market rally? Let's check the SPY. You know, it dropped this morning. Not surprised. The retail numbers for the Black Friday and all the shopping, pretty good. Came in line to a beat in most predictions. Backs up to the 8-day. Is this a professional gap or is it just another little mini gap? The bigger the gap, the bigger the more likeliness of a professional action. Just keep that in mind. Because you can get these little, you know, a gap up and then it comes back. This little gap up and then it comes back. This gap meant big. You see, does that make sense? The bigger the gaps, the more power. More power. Big gap, big power. Little gaps, little power. Not a lot of gaps here. I'm just trying to find some other examples. You just never know for sure, but be on red alert. I still think, what, upside target? I mean, people are talking about 420 on the SPY. I don't know. I really don't know. I don't know. I think we will get the 200 egg or this target trend line or the target zone. Until then, I am not shorting. I got stopped out of NDAQ. What is it, down 26? Who cares? Yeah. Just be safe. And if you have longs, don't just sit here either, too. Like, if you got all these gains, don't let them just get wiped out if it goes lower. Any questions, thoughts, concerns as I'm rolling through these names? Please interrupt me. I have no problem. Market dips as Fed FOMC voter James Bullard says, speaking on online event. What is he saying? Yeah, look at win up 3%. Yeah, market's definitely, China's definitely not reopening. He says markets underpricing risk. Duh. Feds may be more aggressive. Yeah, no duh, James. Feds may pursue rate hikes into 2023. No crap. Fed says made a bottom end of the 5 to 7 range. Dude, he's always the bearish one. Or not bearish, the hawkish. Man, it's always about freaking animals. It's all animal references. Questions, thoughts, concerns? Discord room, if you're listening, I can see you. I can see. QQQ. Not surprised. Backs up to this trend line again. Bounces. I mean, it's close enough. Trash. But there are some tech names that look interesting to me. We'll get into it. IWM. Holding up. gaps down, little guy, 200-day. We talked about it underperforming first before the market fails. I'm just kind of like bouncing around here. It sideways. It's not telling you game over, but it's also not saying game on either. We not agree? I think we all agree, right? Agree? Anyone? If not, forever hold your peace. Gold. I would not be short in gold, but it is curling down with the 8-day and 10-day. I would watch. It needs to get back over that to be bullish. If not, it needs a retest. Could it retest? I mean, yeah. I think you're watching these levels. If you are shorting GDXJ, which J Solstice is, what do we talk about? Mid-December? Could this be the top? He could be totally right. Now, do I have a trade on it? No. But again, this is the thing. I love when people have a difference of opinion. I don't mind that. But when you're showing charts and evidence, it makes sense. It's when people go, this is going to happen. Okay, what's going to happen? Oil to 62. Why? And people can't produce a single chart other than their opinions. I'm like, tune out. Instantaneously, I'm like, you're wrong. Instantaneously, I probably want to do the opposite because you're fed off the news and the fear base of it. Someone else posted, appreciated Discord room members, post this kind of stuff. I don't mind. Hey, you can have a difference of opinion. It's okay. Just be evidence-based. Like, I just hate, like, people like, oh, feel and talk, and this is what I'm... If Scott, Eric, Alan, maybe even Side, if any of you guys are listening, what do we know? How many times have you thought the market was going higher or lower, and your emotions were, like, just keyed up on this stuff, and you're all in it, and like, oh, yeah, it's going higher. Oh, yeah. And it's like, you can't find a single bearish outlet of reasoning, and you just feel like, your instinct is this, and then it's completely wrong. I mean, that's happened to me at least, I don't know, a couple hundred times over the course of my trading career, learning each time, like, why did I feel this way? What was I feeling? Why did I repeat this? Why did this happen again? That happens all the time, y'all. Think about it. I'm going to sip some coffee. Think about how many times you have personally been in a trade and you are referencing the news, referencing emotions as your primary evidence-based factor for going higher. That thinking is dangerous. So back to GDXJ and the miners. They typically drop into mid-December. So, might be the time. Yes, the reason why you, me, anybody feels that way is because the MM did their job. And I hate booting Grover for this, but this is like the 5th time that he's posted something. Like, I'm like, evidence. Show me once. Show me a single out. Can't do it. Not a single thing of evidence. I appreciate you, Eric, responding, because yes, agreed. The MM's job is to make you to do what? Want to buy at the high and sell at the low. If their goal is to take the most amount of money from the most amount of people, isn't that the best thing for them to do? Do you see why I'm like little hesitant about the market dumping? You don't see the market peak when everyone's bearish. Keep that in mind. And this is how you use stock twits, Twitter, whatever sentiment. I mean, I just had a meeting at my house, my rental. One of the windows had to be replaced. I'm talking to the guy. He's like, oh, you're in the markets? He goes, oh, man, the market's about to tank. I'm like, who the hell is this guy? And he's telling me, I'm like, really? I'm like, tell me more. He's like, oh, man, dude, bro, market is about to tank, right? And he's like, right? Like this little right with a question mark ringing in my ear. I'm like, okay, all right. I'm like, what's your time frame, bud? Oh, soon, real soon. He's like, you hearing about the builders cutting projects? I'm like, yeah, they're trying to keep their cash and not overbuild and get stuck holding the bag. Oh, that's bad. I'm like, well, that's usually what they do near the lows, not the highs, you idiot. But I won't say that to him. He's a nice guy, really nice guy. But just like everyone else reading the news. News. Market's about to tank. I love talking to people who don't know anything about the market because they literally are just parroting exactly what the market. I mean, it's like talking to the market maker itself, but they don't know it. It's like watching The Matrix, and everybody's Mr. Smith potentially, and it's like, tell me about the market, huh? Tell me about what I need to know. Oh no, you're good. Thanks for showing up, friends. The market, literally, talking to Mr. Smith this morning, telling me how the market's going to react based on a novice who just follows the markets for what they are. Xavier XM is adding AA. I'm pretty full with some names on this morning. I didn't add a ton other than PXD and a little bit of Netflix. Again, small amounts. Whoa, whoa, that candle just grew. Did y'all see that? It was like nothing. Fills the gap. I don't see why not. I mean, it looks like it's basing before it goes higher. So I like the trade. Big boy. I mean, it's like oil being, the retest, and then here's the retest with oil, like, here's the AA, comes right back. Right? Volume, big boy, some sort of retest, zing. Now I talk about don't chase, don't chase, don't chase, don't chase. My man, Trader for Life, if you're listening, you did not chase. And I am absolutely 1,000% proud that if you did not, and you bought this dip. Because this day you were talking about the market's probably going to crash. I'm like, we'll see. Here you go. Here's your retest. Here's your big boy. Hallelujah. Learning moments. Do take notes of being stuck. Because I have been there too where I'm like, fudge, I should have bought that day, for example. Like, for an example, like mentally. Like, crap, that was the bottom. All right, don't chase. Oh, but I'll buy it up here. Then you buy it at the day at like 70. And then bam, right back at 65. And you just wait. And if you don't get a retest, you don't get a retest. You just learn to deal with that. But when you get the retest, you don't go, well, shit. Well, gee, Bob, as Trader for Life so eloquently put it, Cyber Monday, oil deals, come and get it. I laughed my ass off when I read that. I'm like, yep, absolutely. Well said, friend. Love it. I love seeing the growth. If you did not chase and you bought the dips this morning, the loudest golf clap possible. Tiger Woods just freaking chipped in. Hell yeah. Look at it. Just closing back up. Closing up. Natural gas. I don't know. I love seeing the growth in it. Because it's like, man, imagine I'm your caddy. And I'm trying to be Tiger Woods for you. And again, I used to be Tiger Woods. Maybe I'm Tiger Woods the caddy in the 50s. But point being is that, like, being able to show people the stuff. Like, you can talk about it all day. Like, wait, don't chase, don't chase, don't chase. Oops, I chased Tesla at 183. No, bad. I chased. Don't. No, and then when you don't, if Eric gets this, like once you like learn to be rewarded by not chasing, you just don't chase. It's like you're just wired. It's like knowing that there's a freaking landmine between you and getting to work and you drive around it. You don't drive through it. You don't need to blow up. UNG, nice gap down. Should come right back. What do we talk about? So it needs the hold up in here. Well, here you go. Goes to the bottom of the range and the 50-day. Opens at the lows. Zing, 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 zing. Some people bought the dip. High five. High five to you. Where do I want to go? PXD. Let's go into PXD world. Talked about it holding these mid 240s. So far, so good. Oil and gas rip. You gotta like, not love, but poop. Like this gap down, wish I would have predicted it. Nope. Hold support, come right back. Gap fill and play for UNG or nat gas holds up with oil holding up? I think obviously that's a good question, Jordan. Whatever's going on with NATO and Ukraine and Russia, I mean, nat gas has no like, and in my opinion, no downside near term. If you bought it at the 50-day, I mean, again, gaps tend to get filled at some point. Will this one get filled? I don't know. I didn't buy any UNG today, but I understand why people did this morning. I mean, look at it. Not a bad question. XOP. Gotta love it. Gotta love it. Here, hold on real quick. Briefing just said, WTI futures staged sharp reversal from earlier lows. Drivers for turnaround include strong accumulation earlier at the 74 level that kept follow through while selling efforts got reined in. Recognition that there's presumably a big buyer waiting in the government between the 67 and 72 range, which the government said it would like to buy oil replenished. Some speculation OPEC could be considering a production cut in next week's meeting, blah, 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 blah. Yeah. Remember, demand. There's been demand every time. Like, what are we talking about? Every week, the oil numbers come out with a big draw. Here you go, XOP. This is hard. Trading. I mean, if you're trading around the positions like we recommend, it's not hard. Just whenever you're happy, take profits. Whenever you're sad, add. I mean, it's really, my man Holy loves my little sayings, but that's kind of what it is. When you're happy, sell. When you're sad, you buy. And if you have a trend, that's usually how it goes. You wish you would have sold up at the highs, and you don't. And then you wish you would have bought dips, and you don't. Once you get used to this, you go, okay, I can Trade a little here, trade a little there, da-da-da-da-da, boom. Bada boom, bada bing. Seems easy. I'm not perfect either, so don't like sit. I'm not the one to say like perfectly, hey, sell here, buy here, sell here. No, you just kind of feel it out. You'll see that. First Solar got a downgrade today. Interesting. Bouncing right back for decent volume today. We'll see what happens. I mean, let's get in. All right, let me just dig into. So we just did AA. Some of the names that I'm looking at. I like that if you're buying that gap fill. Netflix. What have I said? Wait for the 20-day, and it's probably going to multi-day range. Well, here you go. You're about as close to the trend line as you can get. I pulled the trigger, again, on a small amount. Do we get to the trend line? I don't. No guarantees. 20-day and the trend line are, don't have to play out all the time. But multi-day pullback, right? We expected that. Is this a professional gap game over? Well, if it holds a 20-day in the trend line, then no. It's just a gap in the game. A gap in the game. You know what I mean? You know what a gap in the game means? Gap in the game. Gaps in the game. Gaps in the game. Gaps in the game. You don't know. For sure. I mean, you're noticing. Popped pretty well this early in the morning. Looked like it was going to lead, but it still looks pretty good. Down $1. Not bad. Tesla. You're welcome. Here's again, not chasing. So just wait for somewhere under 180, 177 range. Low of the day, 179. Not bad. Got under 180. It's like, please don't chase this. Please don't chase this because this might be a professional gap. Sorry for the snorting. And to promise I'm not doing lines of Adderall and cocaine watching the market. Here you go. Gaps down. Nice. Things that you don't see if the market's about to roll over. Tesla rallying. We not agree. I like it. I don't own any, but if you did, awesome. Let me add a little oil to my coffee. Tastes like victory. Yeah, it is closing now on 78. But what did we say? I said watch on the hourly. Here you come. She'll be coming down the mountain when she comes. This is probably going to be a little bit of resistance. 78 area. But if you're a bear, you're going, what the hell happened this morning? You woke up going, oh, oil's crashing. Yeah, I'm the man. Wrong. So, Cliff had some interesting. They're raising their prices on their steel. Again, this company sucks, but things you don't see if the market's about to turn over. Companies announcing price hikes in materials. Hello. CF talked about it. Waiting. Stout. Here you go. We talk about don't chase. Okay. Here's the only time that I consider chasing, but it technically is not. It's a breakout. Clear this area, you can buy it with a tight stop. Because again, this is a consolidation area. Do the math. Range high, 112. Range low, 89. 25 points. 25 points on top of this. Probably take you in the 120s to 130s. Yeah, obviously, if you do the math. I'll take it. That's the monthly trend line. That wouldn't be that bad. At this point, I have laid off CF because I have not seen a significant dip. The son of a bitch did not get down to the 200-day. Held range lows. Was like, oh, come on, maybe just one more day. Trading. It's not easy. Talk about it. It's probability based. Was hoping. Even I hope and wish all the time, and I'm wrong. I hope people see that. I don't hope you. I legitimately expect people to see that. Like, you're going to be wrong. You can't just sit here and go, oh, wow. That just rang a bell to mine. NFGC. The Sprott favorite. What the hell is going on with that? Huh. That is interesting. Put this in your... Talked about long-term wanting to buy this for, put it in the IRA. And I'm not talking about Ireland Republic, whatever. That IRA. Okay, volume. Somebody put that back on your watch list. Again, I think this Sprott was big in this one, so if he likes it, he's always been pretty shrewd. That Sprott, so Sprotty. All right. Any questions, thoughts, concerns? I mean, there's not a ton to talk about. It's the Monday after. I'm not surprised you got a baby pullback. Not surprised. The people who are like the world's gonna end are screaming the loudest. Again, you don't top when everyone's bearish, just like you don't bottom when everyone's bullish. We say that all the time. I mean, do we not remember what it was like to be see the bottom and be like, you can't be at a bottom when everyone's bullish. Remember this dip? Or remember that pop? Very sneaky. Everyone's then it went. And then nobody believes it. And then I talked about on the 20-day. Nobody believes it. On the 20-day, nobody believes it. No. Now we're up. Here are the highs. Can you not flip the mindset around and go, well, market climbs the wall of worry. You don't peak until everyone's bullish, just like you couldn't peak at the bottom until everyone was bearish. Do we have to play this game? What's the catalyst that could start the market for the next leg? China, reopening. I'm telling you, there's something sneaky going on here, and think about it, right? Do you not think they'll say, well, we don't want to see the country riot, so we're going to get rid of zero COVID? I mean, those guys are a bunch of whatever. Get my point, though? That's probably what's leading higher. And if Tesla's rallying, if Apple, again, they're going to lose $7 billion in production of iPhones. If the world was going to end, wouldn't Apple be just ready to get slammed? Wouldn't Apple just be like, on huge volume? No, it's not. Any other, I'd love to talk about this stuff, SMH. Just chopping high and tight. High and tight. Yeah, Chinese stocks very strong. They are clearly signaling a reopening. I don't follow many of them. Let me just type them in real quick because I hate Chinese stocks. Baba. No. Baidu. Baidong. Holding high and tight. What's another Chinese name? It's been the leader. What's the gaming company? TL. It's on my other workspace. JD. Okay. Again, I don't know Chinese hospitality. I have to look at that article real quick. JD. Nah. Just give me 2 seconds. Well, let's go to, was it the water cooler? No. Devil Advocate? No. Friends Trading? No. Roth posted it early this morning. Tencent. Yeah, what's the ticker? TN. KWeb. Okay, yeah, that's right. KWeb is a big one. That's right. Yeah, that doesn't look that bad. What? Yeah, those videos where Chinese citizens are purposely getting themselves beat up is suspicious. Reminds me of the Ukraine stuff. You said it, I didn't. I'm not going to argue that. I'm not going to argue that. I'm sorry. I just think that at this point, zero COVID policy is not realistic. We all know that. You can't get rid of the cold or the flu in the winter. No. The best thing is an immune system, right? The best thing, better than any vaccine, is a strong immune system, exercise, being healthy. Keeping people locked up didn't work. Doesn't work. So, whatever. Anyway, I hate this conversation. It's just pointless. But, all right, Shell to acquire renewable natural gas producer, Natural Energy. Well, that's not bearish. That is not bearish. Buying up other companies. Shell, the Holy System, Davidson Kempner Capital LP, Pioneer Point Partners, 100% for nearly $2 billion, 1.9 in euros. Interesting. Things that aren't bearish. News and noise. There it is. Okay, what are these names? Yeah, again, they're all a bunch of silly. Here are all these hospitality names. I personally don't trade them, but hotel companies up 9%. Is China going to collapse if the hotel names are all rising 9 and 10%? Hello? Anybody? Hello? Hello? No. All right. They're just going to drop that there. Now you saw it. Can't be unseen. Man, people want to buy the UVXY. XY. No way. No way. All right. Any thoughts, questions, concerns? I'll wrap up this live chat. Been a solid 40 minutes. Hopefully this has been helpful. Again, it's the Monday. Remember, turnaround Tuesday. Go check the Stock Trader's Almanac. What's tomorrow got on it? It's got a little bull face. If the market closes near the highs, Wednesday could be some profit taking. Wouldn't be surprised. Watching oil. Watching oil. So this is going to be a choppier week if I had to guess. This is what's going to make this hard. Next week, there's really nothing, and then it's options expiration. It's like options expiration. It feels like options expiration every other week, which technically it almost is. The third Friday every month. They're counting this as the 1 week in November. This is how I would anticipate this market going to be. Until China reopens, news, which is probably coming at some point. Market at the low of the day. Interesting. What's oil doing? Holding up. What are your favorite names doing? Chopping around. I think there's going to be a little bit of volatility. And the reason why I'd say that is, think about it. The market had a relatively solid week. Would we not agree? I mean, the weekly, yes, last week was, it wasn't huge up, but what did it? Opened at the lows, closed at the highs, 380, 393, closed at 403. You're pulling back 4 or 5 points today, 50% retracement of last week. I personally, OPEX and Fed same way. You got to love those weeks. Good God. I personally think, not surprised that we little gap down today, profit taking. Remember, it's all based on China's news. Will we not agree? If it's based on China's news, and I just rolled out all of the hints and the slight nuggets out there for, something's not right. Chinese hospitality stocks are rising. That's interesting. Oil came right back. That's interesting. Right? Like, is it possible? Like, here, let me just zoom in. I like watching the ES futures during the day. Like, do a little fibby. If you're, like, looking at last week's lows to this week's highs, or whatever last week's. Now, I apologize if this is not the, like, intraday stuff, but, 3980. You gotta love when the levels line up. That's what I'd be watching. And where are we at now? 3987? 86? You're not that far away. And then the next... yeah. I think if you're... what is it? I'm trying to remember. Like, again, I love to remember like little sayings, but buying on Monday is never as... I'm never as confident buying on Monday as I am on Tuesday if you get the turnaround. So, hence why oil, feel bad, probably should have bought more. Was waiting for Tuesday. Eric, if you're here, you know the Tuesday game. What do they say? Buy at the close, sell at the open has outperformed buy at the open, sell at the close by like 1,000% over like last 30 years. Well, maybe stick around at the close, look for where the bottoms are. Sell maybe the open tomorrow, or I don't know. But that same kind of mantra can apply for the week. Buy at the end of the week, sell at the open of the week. I don't know. People do it. There's no like hard and fast rule though, right? Because like you can't predict the news. I'd be watching Netflix hard. Man, Tesla's holding up really well. AA, nah, come on, buddy. Do you have to go back down to the range? Now you technically are not filling gaps, but like retesting candles. That looks interesting to me. Yeah, turnaround Tuesdays. I love turnaround too, because it gets, you can hold for a couple days. You watch Netflix too much, yeah. Gold pulling back. Are we surprised? No. Walt Disney ticks higher and supports hiring freeze and will remain focused on profitability, not just sub growth. Whatever. Noise. Amazon's up. Cyber Monday. Yeah. Cyber CF is flat, down 50 cents. Nucor down $1. I mean, it's just a day of digestion. And it makes sense, right? After your big meal, you digest. You got to take a little poo out today, you know? What are you thinking, though? Do you really have to be big all the time? No. The only thing, honestly, that was like screaming is USO, and I like PXD here. I like PXD here a lot. If oil and gas are going to hold, you can see this zone like candle wick, candle wick, candle wick, candle wick, candle wick, question mark? I mean, here's like the, what are they, the dragon formation. You guys, you know how the people are always trying to put animals onto everything. Here's your dragon with his back, and then here's his neck, and there's his like jaw. I mean, I guess maybe you call it the camel as well. It's got a double hump. I'm just watching here to see if we get the flush down on the futures, kind of letting this run. Tesla's not folding. Trying to see financials down. Okay, financials down a little bit. Long wick holding. Here's the 8-day client. I mean, think about rubber band man theory. Big gets more tired the higher it goes. Well, perfect. Get me up into 36s. TME, Chinese real estate went from, whoa. Let me pull that up. Let's see if it'll. No, that's 10-cent music. Oh, yeah, 10 cent. Hold on. Is this the same 10 cent? Yeah, I guess it is. I thought it was like TCT. Never let that happen. Yeah, whatever. LMT. LMT. Position for the next leg. What's the next leg here? I'm looking at the Discord room. What is the next leg here? I mean, I know people have been bearish on this name. Leaders lead into the end of the year. They don't get tax loss sold. Just drawing. I got some monthlies on this. I'm just looking at it. Huh. That's interesting. Here, I'll show you something. Let me show you something. All right. So here you go. You got, I'm sharing it on the, so there's your like monthly trend line. Keep in mind, if you have a monthly trend line that hits like a couple times, you got to be a little careful, because what can happen if you are not careful? Why is like, is that it? No. If you have a monthly trend line, I guess I was not messing with the right one. Okay, yeah, trend line. I want to thicken it up, homie. No, I don't want an arrow. There it is. Why am I like right in front of me? If you have a trend line that's being hit multiple times, what do you think the best thing to do to like wrap the bulls out and into like endless bullishness, right? What do you think it is? Xavier, can you hear me? I know you're in the Discord room. What do you think the best thing to do if you were gonna like trap bulls forever in this name? Do you have a guess? I got one. I got a strong guess because I've been caught in it before. Breakout, breakout. Yeah, breakout 1.382. That's what I would do to it. I would break it out. I would pretend that it's failing to break out and then go a little higher. It's kind of what I personally have thought about stupid First Solar. Like, break it out. Just get up to the 2 times range. Well, I don't know. Whatever I need to get to. Remember, if oil and gas pop, this thing could probably hold up and go stupid. Break out over the channel highs. If Justin Pulitzer's ever listening, I'll give him credit for like noticing this and talking about this being a reoccurring thing, because I remember this too. Like, you'd see these nice up channels Well, the last move out was like the straight line break out of the channel, then fail, right? I mean, you saw it on, here's an example of extreme proportion. Extreme Tesla, right? Here's your nice like channel, zikabow, and then it's dead. Yeah, I don't think you're going to get that with LMT, Lockheed. But I think you could get a little breakout and then fail. Everybody really wants to short, and I'm almost like, it's almost very logical to me that people are scared to buy the dips at the lows, and then they're trying to short the highs way early, which I get it. Again, I'm trying to figure out, as I've said multiple times, I think people just clearly aren't listening. We talked about this. Like, the Feds are in the sweet spot. If oil is in the 70s, interest rates have gone lower, they're in the sweet spot. They're going to be able to say, maybe we can pivot next year. Just keep that in mind. Like, that's where they're in the sweet spot. That's why I think the market's held up so well. They haven't said they're going to pivot, but conditions have allowed them to pivot. Does this make sense? Can I get 17 yeses to confirm they understand this? Because, again, I'm like, why are you getting too bearish too early? Because if that's the case, then what do you think the market could do? It could float up. It has been floating up. Well, what's going to be the fact? What gets it to stop that? It's got to be a spike in oil and gas. It's got to be an inflation rip again. Because if not, the market could go in this choppy sideways action. And if you don't know Chop, my middle name is Dan Chop Max. No, I'm familiar with Chop. Like, you could get into this. Let me just show you. I'm trying to think. The best way to show it is the IWM. You don't believe me? Okay. Let me just show you. Check out the monthly. I mean, you had like a year of chop here. 2 years. No, this is the weekly. I apologize. Chop, 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 chop. Could you get into a, here's your chop zone, right? Chop, 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 chop. Chop, 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 chop. Could that happen? Yep. Could the VIX just do whatever it needs to do? Chop, 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 chop. Could it just do this? Chop, 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 chop. Pop into the mid-20s, chop, chop, chop. Pop in the mid-20s, chop, 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 chop. Yes, I think that's what's scary here. The Fed's in the sweet spot. They're not going to be aggressively raising rates much more if oil holds in the 70s. Is this not confirmed? Obvious? Seemed very obvious. 6 retests. Last time, the VIX filled the gap, went below it, and then gapped above it. Last time it took 6 retests near that trend line to pop again. Chop, 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 chop. People don't like to hear that. They just don't. But they don't realize the market doesn't give a crap about what you think it's going to happen, when it's going to happen. And I've been there, anticipated, played that game many a times with many a stocks. Oh, it's got to happen next week. Oil, it's got to happen this week. We don't know. 52-week highs outpacing new lows. Or new lows outpacing. Okay. Any other thoughts, questions, concerns? I only got one yes. People clearly don't understand Chop, or just they're listening, and that's cool. It's cool. Chop is not necessarily bearish. Chop precedes bigger moves. It helps create reloading action. What was the low of the day? Did we get there on the ES? Not there yet. Wanted that 380, 3980. Hey, okay. I'm going to let it run. I appreciate you guys. Unless someone has like a question at this point, there's really not much to say. It's the Mondays. Case of the Mondays. Remember, the market ain't going to freaking top when everyone's bearish, just like it ain't going to bottom when everyone's bullish. Comprende? Could MCAMs be using the low oil so that the Feds can make it a little bit hawkish and give a little... Yes! Thank you. You just read... That's what I've been trying to say. The MM could be using low oil as the Fed so they can be a little bit hawkish. Yes. As I'm saying now they're probably going to still raise in December, but the conversationally speaking, future Fed idiots are talking about raising less next year. The market loves that. Hearing that. The market loves hearing that, because then it's like, oh, okay, the worst is behind us. Right? Like, that's how, remember, the market's 90% bullish when the sense of the amplitude of what things go. They go higher over time, right? Could we be in a chop cycle? Absolutely. No, I appreciate all you guys' comments, and that's the reality here. That is the reality here. The feds are going to be loving low oil. They're going to be loving this never-ending talk of, well, oil in the 70s, it's not that bad. Inflation's kind of peaked, guys. Yeah, they'd love to see it rally. They'd love to see the markets rally. Held the resistance, support. Here you go. You're welcome on oil. I'm just watching it. Just watching it. Okay, yep. I mean, I think that's the easiest way for the feds to unload. Or not the feds, the market makers to unload would be what? The confirmation that there's a bull market coming. Did we not remember that in August? Do y'all remember that? Yeah, they got good control of the game. I mean, again, they're controlling the narratives naturally, but they're also in a position where what? People aren't that, maybe not sure. Do y'all not remember? I mean, some of y'all probably do. Freaking, what was it? Muhammad? No, not Muhammad. It begins with an S. Came running into the room, was like, you idiots don't realize that every time we've broken over a 0.382 off the lows that there's a bull market starting. Oh, there's a bull market starting. You guys are idiots. There's a bull market. Remember that? People coming into the Discord room like, you idiots, it's a bull market. It's starting. We're over the 100. Oh, it's starting. Bull market. Is anyone here in bull market has started? Bull market starting. Bull market. Remember in the Discord room, a lot of people. Yeah, bull market starting. All of a sudden now all these charts are being produced that came out on Twitter. Look, it's the start of the bull market. This is what it is. Every time you do this, this is this. So you can buy the highs. Have we seen that yet? I personally have not. What was his name? Solomon. Man, Solomon's screaming. You're an idiot, Dan. I'm like, okay. Remember that? Solomon? I mean, I'll let him back in the room. He's still pretty emotional, so I just couldn't let that happen. Some of y'all might not remember that, but man, he's just everyone. And if you're saying no to I don't see everyone saying the bull market's on. Remember, bull market. Oh, remember, it's just a correction. It's just a little correction. No biggie. Just a little correction. Don't worry about it. Yeah, Solomon going nuts. Oh, he's flipping out. The world's ending. I'm like, man. All right. The world's ending. Going to 3,200, 2,600. All right. Well, are you seeing the Solomons of the world screaming bull market's back on? And when I say Solomons, now I'm just using it as a reference of the type of people that usually will chase highs and sell lows. Are we seeing that same crowd come back in and say, bull market, bull market? I'm not. I'm seeing people start to say it could be because they're hoping the feds do this, but we haven't seen the confirmation of, yes, bull market started. Okay, now we can start shorting confidently with stops at levels. Make sense? Comprende? Sí, señor. Yep, there you go. TLT low of the day. Just looking at some names. Okay, I hope this helps. And again, if Solomon's listening, I'm not trying to pick on you. I'm trying to make you, again, just like I appreciate when people are like, look at this, check out the monthly, check out this, be the mirror, check out the election. Yes. People who love you and care about you will give you feedback. It's whether you take it or not. If you think everybody's out to screw you over, great. Guess what? That's how it feels. I don't believe that. The people that I know trust that have been involved since the start, I know their best intention is to guide. If they're wrong, I'm not going to be like, oh, you idiot. No. Your goal is, if you show me evidence and I show you evidence, is to kind of formulate what? An agreement of evidence-based probabilities. Not that you're right, I'm right, you're wrong, whatever. No. What's the odds that the market is peaked? In my opinion, 20%. 20%. I need at least to be at 50% before I think about shorting consistently. Does this make sense? Could be in the chop zone. New money could come in at the end of the month. Check out the monthly candle real quick. What's the monthly looking like? Have you seen the monthly? Doesn't look bearish, right? Now, there probably could be profit taking. Let me pull up the SPY monthly. You can see it. It doesn't look that bearish. Oh, man, why did you do that? That's where you get the 406. Here's the 420. Do y'all see sometimes why you zoom out? I don't think we're done. I don't think we're done. Could it be a multi-month chop range? 3 months? With the blow-off? You see that? That was the blow-off. Could December be that? Or could November? I doubt it's November. We'll see. Long wick. All right. I'm going to let it run. Again, I could talk about this forever. It's just personally not seeing it. Now, I know the market's down, so people are like, it's very easy to get red. And when I say red, like reddish faced, like, oh, I guess it is going down. Okay. One day does not make a trend. This trend is slowly grinding its stupid way up. And if you're a bull or bear, like that's how you feel about it. All right. Love you guys. Thanks for the love, support, holiday wishes. I wish you the best on your trading endeavors going forward the rest of the day. If you have any questions, I'm around. I will be watching. Talk to you later. Peace.